I clearly told him when I see her, I'ma smack her. Since Asia don't know how I get it poppin', I'm not gonna tell her, I'm just gonna show her. Bitch. That's what happened when you talk from me. Keep my name out your mouth. And I'm not even your man. Oh, people wanna be like, I'm immature. Yeah, I'm immature. Yeah, I am.
And I've always been there.
Fucking violate these niggas right now. Somebody smash me with more.
When Cardi B jumped from reality TV star to full-blown rap queen, she didn't just step into the spotlight, she snatched it and refused to let go. She was the loudest, boldest, most unfiltered voice in the room, and the world couldn't get enough. The charts bent to her will, fashion brands followed her every move, and her off-the-cuff catchphrases became everyday slang that people repeated nonstop. Her breakout smash Bodak Yellow didn't just make noise, it became an anthem you literally couldn't escape. That record launched her into the stratosphere, making her one of the most powerful women in hip-hop almost overnight. Cardi wasn't just winning, she was rewriting the game on her own terms. But here's the twist, how do you go from dominating the world in 2017 to barely scraping in at number 147 on Spotify with Imaginary Players? That's not just a dip, that's a free fall, and fans have been left wondering what went down. Endless delays on her second album have tested people's patience. Her roller coaster marriage has been dragged out in public like a soap opera, and the non-stop chaos surrounding her name has taken center stage over the music. Cardi showed us all that when the drama overshadows the hits, the crown can slip real fast. The woman who once had everyone listening now has people asking the brutal question, where did it all go wrong? When the world first met Cardi B back in 2015 on Love and Hip Hop New York, she was this loud, unfiltered personality trying to push her way into the rap game. She wasn't polished, she wasn't industry made, she was raw, messy, and real. But most people at the time, they didn't take her seriously at all. To them, she was just another reality star running her mouth, trying to chase a dream that seemed too big. Viewers laughed, critics rolled their eyes, and plenty of folks said she'll be crawling back to the show with nothing to show for it. Cardi, however, had something they didn't see coming: hustle mixed with unapologetic confidence. She only stayed 2 seasons before announcing she was leaving the cameras behind to focus fully on music. That decision shocked people who thought she'd crash and burn without the show propping her up. Instead, she doubled down, hit the studio, and waited for the perfect moment to strike. And then in 2017, Bodak Yellow exploded. This wasn't just a hit, it was an earthquake that shook the entire music industry. Cardi didn't just get her foot through the door, she bulldozed the whole entrance down. Overnight, the same people who mocked her were forced to admit she had star power that couldn't be denied. She went from reality TV clown to chart-topping queen, proving every hater dead wrong in the loudest way possible. Bodak Yellow wasn't just a track, it was a full-on money anthem. Every bar screamed hustle, every beat pounded like a victory chant, and that hook, catchy enough to stick in your head for weeks. Fans went wild the second it dropped, blasting it in clubs, cars, and everywhere in between. It didn't just climb the charts, it dominated them, turning Cardi from an underdog to an untouchable force almost overnight. Even the critics who once doubted her had no choice but to give credit where it was due. Pitchfork crowned it the top song of 2017, saying Cardi wasn't just another rapper, she was exactly what the culture needed. Rolling Stone and Complex lined up with glowing praise, calling it not only one of the best singles of the decade, but also a song that redefined how female rappers could take up space in the industry. But Bodak Yellow was more than just a certified banger. It carried a message. Cardi stood tall as a proud Afro-Latina woman, using her voice to show the world what resilience looked like. She wasn't polished, she wasn't manufactured, and that raw authenticity made her a symbol for anyone who felt pushed to the margins. The industry couldn't ignore her anymore. She wasn't just knocking on the door, she had kicked it down and set the whole building on fire. From stripping in clubs to shining on reality TV, to becoming the first female rapper in 20 years to top the Billboard Hot 100 with a solo track, Cardi wasn't just living the American dream, she became the American dream. Unstoppable, untouchable, and unapologetic, she told Billboard at the height of her reign, "It's just the lightest song of the year. It's that song that make you feel like that big." And in that moment, she wasn't exaggerating. Cardi B really was that big. Bodak Yellow wasn't just a hit, it was that girl. And in so many ways, Cardi was too. With her boldness, her brash delivery, and that raw, unapologetic New York accent, she brought an energy the rap game hadn't seen in years. She didn't water herself down, didn't try to fit some industry mold. She came in loud, unfiltered, and fearless, and fans couldn't get enough of it. Cardi wasn't acting like some polished character crafted by label executives. She was simply herself. She showed the messy, the glamorous, the funny, and the ugly, all right there online for the world to see. No filters, no fake fronts, just pure Cardi. That level of honesty made her magnetic. People related to her hustle, her flaws, and her wild storytelling, and the industry had no choice but to respect it. The support was massive. Fans pushed Bodak Yellow all the way to #1 and then beyond, giving it diamond status with over 10 million units sold. That type of success set her up for the biggest test yet, her debut album. When Invasion of Privacy dropped in April 2018, Cardi proved she wasn't a one-hit wonder. She was here to run the charts. The album was stacked with bangers, but one track in particular, I Like It, featuring Bad Bunny and J Balvin, turned into another monster hit. It stormed its way up to #1 on the Billboard Hot 100, went diamond with over 10 million units sold, and showed that Cardi wasn't just dominating rap, she was tapping into the global Latin wave and owning it. And then came the history-making moment. Cardi B became the first solo female rapper to win a Grammy for Best Rap Album in 2019. That win wasn't just a personal victory, it was a statement to the entire industry that Cardi had arrived at the highest level, breaking barriers and silencing doubters who once swore she wouldn't last. At that point, she wasn't just winning, she was rewriting history with every step. Cardi was sitting at the top of the world, but the real question was, could she stay there? After smashing records with her debut era, the pressure to keep delivering only got heavier. And to keep her name buzzing, she linked up with Megan Thee Stallion in 2020 for the jaw-dropping track WAP. The song was raunchy, unapologetic, and as bold as Cardi herself. It didn't just spark conversation, it lit the whole culture on fire. Fans couldn't stop quoting it, critics couldn't stop writing about it, and the controversy only pushed it further. The track stormed to #1 on the Billboard Hot 100, giving Cardi her 4th #1 hit. But she didn't stop there. The following year, she dropped up, and once again, the charts bent in her favor. It shot straight to #1, becoming her 5th chart-topping single. At that point, everyone was convinced Cardi was unstoppable. The only thing missing? That long-promised sophomore album. By then, the demand was overwhelming. Year after year, fans begged her to drop it. Every interview, every post, people only had one question: where's the album? Cardi seemed to tease the answer in January 2023 when she revealed on Instagram that she had over 100 songs recorded and ready to go. Naturally, fans assumed the album was around the corner, but months passed, then a full year, and still, nothing hit the shelves. Cardi later explained that her own anxiety was holding her back, but she promised 2024 would finally be the year she delivered. The excitement built again. People thought at last she was ready to reclaim her throne. Yet as 2024 came and went, the album was still nowhere to be found. The anticipation turned into confusion, and fans were left shaking their heads, wondering what on earth was really going on. That's when Cardi finally dropped a surprising explanation that left people talking all over again. By April 2025, fans were flat out tired of waiting, so Cardi finally went live on Instagram to address the chaos. But instead of giving people a release date, she pointed the finger at other artists, claiming they hadn't delivered their features on time. That excuse only stirred more debate because the longer the album sat on ice, the more it looked like Cardi was running out of moves. Meanwhile, the rap game wasn't slowing down for her. A whole new wave of female rappers had risen up and were eating everything in sight. Megan Thee Stallion, Latto, Ice Spice, Glorilla, and Sexy Red weren't just holding conversations. They were dominating them. These women came just as bold, just as flashy, and just as fearless as Cardi once was. Suddenly, the spotlight wasn't hers alone anymore, and people couldn't help but ask, why was Cardi letting this prime moment slip away? Still, one thing she said in that live stream stuck with everybody. Cardi admitted she wasn't confident about a lot of things, but when it came to this album, she swore she was confident it would deliver. Fans clung to that promise, hoping the delays were worth it. But then came the bigger question. Was her anxiety still the real reason for all these pushbacks? If that was the case, Cardi wouldn't be the first star caught in the trap of trying to outdo her own success. The industry even has a name for it, Difficult Second Album Syndrome, or DSAS. It's that curse where the follow-up can never quite match the magic of the debut, and it has crushed plenty of big names before. The irony? Cardi herself once seemed too fearless to ever be held back by nerves, but now, the same star who once embodied confidence was starting to look like she was battling her own shadow. The pressure to follow up a blockbuster debut can crush even the strongest artists. They say in the industry, you get a lifetime to create your first album, but only a year or two to deliver your second. That brutal timeline has broken countless careers, and Cardi was already way past the deadline. Years had slipped by, and with every delay, the weight of expectation only grew heavier, feeding the doubts and fueling the whispers that maybe her magic was fading. Then came June 2025. After endless teasing and excuses, Cardi finally broke her silence with a major announcement. She revealed the title of her long-awaited sophomore album, Me the Drama, and locked in a release date for September 19, 2025. The news sent shockwaves through social media, not just because fans were excited, but because it meant one shocking thing. It would be 7 years since her debut album dropped. In an industry where trends move at lightning speed, 7 years is basically a lifetime. So now the burning question is this: will fans show up for Cardi a second time with the same passion, or has the moment already passed her by? The numbers don't lie. Her chart positions have been slipping, her streams aren't what they used to be, and the hype just doesn't feel as electric as it once did. Her last number ones, WAP in 2020 and Up in 2021, feel like distant memories now. Since then, the songs she's put out, yes, even tracks with heavy hitters like Kanye West, have landed with a thud, sparking conversation but not domination. The industry is watching, the fans are skeptical, and Cardi's entire legacy is hanging on this second album. One wrong move, and what was once the Cinderella story of hip-hop could turn into its most shocking fall from grace. By 2022, cracks were already starting to show. Cardi's collab with Lil Durk, Hot Tea, was hyped up as the next big anthem, but it stumbled, peaking at number 13 on the Billboard Hot 100. For most artists, that would be a win, but for Cardi, who once lived at number 1, it felt like a red flag. The momentum that used to push her straight to the top just wasn't there anymore, and the whispers about her losing her grip on the charts started getting louder. But the real heartbreak came in August 2025, right before the rollout of her sophomore album. Cardi dropped what was supposed to be the comeback single of the decade, Imaginary Players. With Jay-Z's blessing to sample his classic track of the same name, expectations were sky high. Fans and critics predicted this would be the hit to finally restore her crown, her first chart topper in years. But when the numbers came in, reality hit hard. The single debuted at a shocking number 147 on Spotify's daily chart, then disappeared completely the very next day. That flop wasn't just a stumble, it was a scream that Cardi's grip on streaming power, once her strongest weapon, had slipped away. The woman who used to dominate playlists and rack up billions of plays suddenly couldn't hold a spot for 48 hours. And to make things worse, while she was struggling to stay afloat, newer female rappers like Ice Spice and JT were pulling off stronger debuts with far less buildup. In today's hyper-competitive streaming era, one weak release can shift the entire conversation. And right now, the conversation is brutal. People are asking if Cardi is out of touch, if she waited too long, and if her prime has officially passed. With her album just around the corner, she's in a sticky situation that could either make or completely break her career. If Cardi can't chart anymore, the message is loud and clear. Listeners aren't replaying her music. And in the streaming era, replay value is everything. Without it, longevity disappears fast, and once the hype dies down, so does the career. That's the brutal truth of today's digital game, and Cardi is feeling the sting of it right now. Everyone has a theory about what's gone wrong. Some say her music just isn't hitting the way it used to. Back when she first came out, she was hungry, spitting with grit, fire, and charisma that couldn't be denied. But over the years, fans argue her sound hasn't evolved, her subject matter hasn't grown, and the raw edge that made her stand out feels watered down. The energy that once made her a cultural phenomenon now feels recycled, like she's stuck on repeat. Others take it even further, claiming she sometimes sounds flat, like she's just reading lines off a script without that same spark. The passion that once poured out of her music seems to have shifted elsewhere, and for many, that elsewhere is her personal life. Because if there's one thing Cardi has mastered, it's keeping her name in the headlines, whether for the right reasons or the wrong ones. More often than not, it feels like Cardi's biggest enemy is Cardi herself. Her unfiltered social media rants, messy online fights, and constant personal drama have overshadowed the music. And at the center of it all, her turbulent relationship with Offset. To call it on again, off again would be too light. This marriage has been a full-blown roller coaster since day one. The pair secretly tied the knot in 2017, but it didn't take long for cracks to show. Infidelity rumors, public breakups, emotional reconciliations. Every chapter has been just as explosive as her lyrics, if not more. At this point, some fans wonder if the drama at home has swallowed the artist whole, leaving the music an afterthought. And with the album hanging in the balance, that question has never been louder. Cardi's marriage has been nothing short of a public soap opera. She's filed for divorce not once, but twice. And both she and Offset have thrown out accusations of cheating. In the middle of all the chaos, 3 beautiful children were born, turning what should have been private family moments into headlines splashed across every blog and timeline. And instead of handling things quietly, every twist of their relationship unfolded right in front of the world, complete with messy Instagram lives, cryptic posts, and since-deleted tweets that only added fuel to the fire. Offset himself even used her stalled music career as ammo. At one point, he threw jabs at Cardi for being more focused on chaos than creativity, accusing her of being all about drama instead of the studio. His words cut deep. No music, no nothing, just drama. And maybe, just maybe, he had a point. Because as much as her name trended for her hits, it trended just as often for the storm she stirred online. Cardi's online presence has often been her double-edged sword, giving her raw authenticity, but also landing her in hot water. She's had to issue apologies multiple times for using language that angered the LGBTQ community, sparking fierce backlash. And that wasn't the only controversy. One of her most infamous scandals came when she portrayed Coretta Scott King, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s widow, in a parody skit called Real Housewives of the Civil Rights Movement. The skit was blasted as tone-deaf and wildly disrespectful, leaving many people stunned that she would even touch such a sensitive subject. The criticism was so harsh that Cardi personally apologized to the King family, promising to do better. But in true Cardi fashion, before the dust could even settle, another viral controversy came crashing down on her, cementing her image as someone who couldn't stay out of the drama even when she tried. Cardi and Nicki Minaj had been throwing shots for years, but things boiled over in explosive fashion during New York Fashion Week 2018. That's when Cardi stormed up on Nicki, cursing her out in front of the elite fashion crowd and threatening to throw hands. The chaos was pure pandemonium. Cardi ripped her dress, tossed off her shoe like a weapon, and walked away with a massive knot on her head, but never actually laid a finger on Nicki. The images went viral instantly, and the infamous shoe-throwing incident became one of the most talked about moments in hip-hop history. To this day, their feud hasn't cooled, and fans still debate which woman really won that night. But the madness didn't stop there. Next came the strip club case. According to TMZ, Cardi allegedly ordered an attack on 2 bartenders she believed were messing with Offset behind her back. The women claimed Cardi harassed them online and even sent people after them in person. The case dragged her into courtrooms, making headlines not just as a chart topper, but as a defendant facing serious accusations. For many, it blurred the line between Cardi the superstar and Cardi the street fighter who refused to let anything slide. And still, the list of beefs kept growing. Cardi has clashed with fellow rapper JT, battled it out with gossip blogger Tasha K in a messy defamation case, and even gone head-to-head with her own fans. If someone drops a comment she doesn't like, she doesn't just ignore it. She locks in and fires back until she gets the last word. Screenshots of her social media rants regularly go viral, adding to her reputation as someone who can't stay quiet even when silence would have been the smarter move. Some people defend all this as Cardi simply being true to herself, raw, unfiltered, and unwilling to let anyone disrespect her. But others argue it's not strength at all, it's insecurity on full display, proving she's more concerned with clapping back than keeping her empire strong. Over time, the headlines started to outweigh the hits. Instead of being celebrated for her artistry, Cardi slowly became more known for her controversies, and that shift has not played in her favor. What once made her relatable and raw now has fans rolling their eyes, wondering if the drama will ever stop. And while she's been tangled in feuds, lawsuits, and online battles, the music industry itself has completely changed around her. Today, the game isn't just about bars, hooks, or even album sales. It's about TikTok. One short snippet, one viral dance, or a 15-second clip can launch a nobody into superstardom overnight. Millions of views can turn into millions of streams, brand deals, and festival bookings. That means rappers can't just be musicians anymore. They have to be content creators too. Songs are practically built for social media first, then the charts follow. If you can't play that game, you risk getting left behind. And here's the catch. What worked for Cardi 7 years ago doesn't hit the same today. In the world of fast-moving music, 7 years is a lifetime. Attention spans are shorter than ever, and audiences crave constant novelty. They don't want recycled sounds or old energy. They want something fresh, something new, something they haven't seen before. For Cardi, this creates a dangerous situation. The pressure to drop an album is sky high, but she also risks dragging all her old baggage, her feuds, her scandals, her missed opportunities into this new era. If she can't evolve, if she can't meet today's moment, her long-awaited sophomore album could end up buried under the weight of her past instead of lifting her back to the top. Cardi's upcoming sophomore album is already raising eyebrows, mainly because it's set to include her old hits WAP and Up. On paper, that sounds like a win. Those songs were monsters when they dropped, breaking records and dominating every playlist. But here's the problem. Those tracks are now years old, and audiences have already played them out, including them on a 2025 album. Has critics asking if Cardi is recycling her glory days instead of bringing something new to the table. The fear? She might be stuck in the past and out of fresh ideas, a dangerous sign that her prime could already be behind her. Commenters online haven't held back either. Many argue her sound feels dated, more like 2018 Cardi than 2025 Cardi. For example, the use of samples, like the one in Imaginary Players, once felt sharp and trendy. But in today's rap scene, that style isn't as dominant, making her approach come across as out of touch with the current wave. When newer female rappers are experimenting with drill beats, melodic flows, and viral TikTok-ready hooks, Cardi's throwback vibe feels like it's lagging behind the moment. And here's where it gets even trickier. The way success is measured has shifted completely. Back in 2018, album sales and Grammy wins mattered most. But in 2025, the game is all about streaming numbers, viral moments, and whether your track can dominate TikTok for even a week. That shift raises a brutal question. Is Cardi releasing her album at the wrong time? Can it ever live up to the cultural earthquake of her debut? Or is it destined to fall flat? While fans have been begging her for new music for years, her timing now feels painfully late. And with other female rappers dropping consistent hits and feeding the culture exactly what it craves, Cardi risks looking like she's chasing a train that already left the station. Is Cardi stalling out while the rest of the rap world speeds past her at full throttle? That's the million-dollar question, and the answer may finally come when her long-delayed sophomore album actually drops. It's wild to remember that Cardi was once the ultimate underdog, the girl who came out swinging with nothing but grit, game, and raw charisma. She delivered hit after hit, stacked up awards, smashed records, and built one of the loudest fan bases in hip-hop. For a while, she couldn't miss. Every move felt like a win. Every song was an anthem, and every headline had her name on top. But now, years later, she's standing at the most dangerous point of her career, the crossroads. Her sophomore album, Me the Drama, is finally within reach, but so are the doubts that have been haunting her for years. Can she rise up and prove she's still that same unstoppable force? Or will this album expose her as an artist who peaked too soon? The stakes couldn't be higher. Cardi isn't just battling for chart numbers, she's battling for her legacy. The fear of not being able to live up to her debut album is real, and critics are already whispering that she might fade into the background while a new generation of women snatches the crown. But if Cardi pulls this off, if she manages to silence the critics and deliver bangers that shake the culture again, it could go down as one of the greatest comebacks the rap game has ever seen. September 2025 may give us the final answer. Is Cardi still a heavyweight or just a footnote in hip-hop history? What do you think? Should Cardi hang it up, or does she still have one last shot to dominate the charts like she used to? Drop your thoughts below, Beasties, and you already know, this is your favorite messy YouTube channel bringing you all the tea.